Welcome to More Female Racers Round 3. We're at Imola this evening, afternoon, morning. Happy time zone to everyone watching. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Ash Vandelay, joined by Sam Pierce. Sam, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good. Yeah, so super excited to be back. It looks like I missed an amazing race at Silverstone out last round. Really gutted, but yeah, glad to be back and see what the girls have for us tonight.
So happy you're back. Appreciate David filling in for you. David Christie, incredible commentator, but Sam, you can't be replaced. You're irreplaceable, I think is the correct word I should be saying. But Sam, I'm so happy you're back. And again, we're here round 3, halfway through the season, which is crazy to think about because I feel like we just got started seeing everyone's skills.
Yeah, and halfway into the season, and I think this is where, in the past, this is where things have started to get interesting. Drivers start to get a little bit more tactical. They've got one eye on the championship now, in addition to what's happening on track. So it starts to get spicy from here out, and the point scores, they're still really, really tight. I was looking at the championship standings earlier today. There's only 8 points between first and third in both classes, so still really, really tight. Too early to call, definitely.
Well, you mentioned last round 2 at Silverstone GP. We had race 1 and 2. The winners, though, actually pretty much the same. Race winner 1 for AM, Penelope Dobbins. Congratulations. Also love the livery. Race 1 for the pro was Honora Rose. And then race 2 winner AM was Penelope Dobbins yet again, crushing the time and leaderboard and not getting in the way of all the accidents that were happening on track. That was crazy to watch. And race 2 for the pro was Honora Rose as well. Last week was very interesting. We had some incredible racing, incredible race paces from a lot of the top leaders that we usually expect. And then, of course, some incidents that we saw here and there, but we wonder how they'll play out in Imola because the track here is aggressiveness actually pays off with a mixture of medium speed chicanes, and attacking the entries of corners is super crucial. So I'm excited to see what racing we get from race 1 and race 2 tonight.
Yeah, in Imola's, and it's a fantastic circuit. It's proper old school circuit. And it's got a mix of everything. No matter what sort of track you like, whether you like high speed corners, really really tight chicanes, hairpins. Imola's got it all. Absolutely famous, beautiful track to drive. Really good fun. A straight that's not a straight, which always makes things interesting. So yeah, should make for some really, really great close wheel-to-wheel action tonight.
It's going to be very awesome. Again, this is More Female Racers, powered by Mercedes-AMG. We are here, round 3. Thank you to everyone for joining us. We see you in the YouTube chat. And we are now actually going to begin qualifying. As you know, the first qualifying round are AM drivers only, the first 15 minutes, and the final 15 minutes are pro drivers. So let's check out who we have already starting up on the grid. You see Penelope Dobbins there, getting ready, getting those tires warmed up. Who do you expect to be strong in this circuit, Sam?
I mean, with the outing that Penelope has had, so far in the first 2 rounds, you'd be stupid to discount Penelope being up at the sharp end. But there's been some really really good close battles in this AM class. I mean, then the AM class championship points are actually a little bit tighter up at the top than the pros. So it's still all to play for. Obviously, Penelope taking the win for round 1 and 2. But close behind, Taylor Mills, only 2 points back currently in the championship, with Olivia Hayward snapping right at their heels. So this is one of those tracks that you just can't tell. No idea what's going to happen. Anything can change in a blink of an eye. So yeah, I'm not brave enough to call this one at all.
Like I said, aggressiveness pays off, so I'm excited to see the driving styles slightly change a bit here, and we gotta be careful because of the curbs, especially the infamous sausage curbs. If you eat it a little bit too hard, if I don't say so myself, over certain corners and chicanes, so it'll be very interesting to see how. Maybe we'll go 3 or 4 wide in some corners, and we'll get some spiciness that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, but with those sausage curbs, so certainly coming into the Variante Alta chicane towards the back end of the circuit, to go fast, you've got to be brave on those curbs. You've got to take a fair chunk to begin with. So yeah, fortune rewards the brave here. So it'll be interesting.
Absolutely. And we've just been informed that the poll for the next round, round 4, is actually up on the YouTube chat. Where would you like us to race in round 4 on May 15th? I am particularly biased towards Watkins Glen, so I casted my vote as soon as they told me the poll was open. But Sam, I think you're leaning Valencia.
I mean, it's one of the. I think this is a really, really difficult vote to call. Watkins Glen, absolutely amazing circuit. Really, really good fun to race. It's just such a really great track to drive, but nobody can discount Valencia. Brand new, only been in the game for 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks. Released with the 1.9 DLC content update. So I'd be surprised if Valencia doesn't win simply because it's brand new. Everybody wants to see it in action. But I love Watkins Glen, so to be honest, I'm actually kind of staying out of this vote because I'm happy to see either one. I think it's a really, really great selection of circuits.
That was a great politically correct answer.
I know.
You said that, and I'm here rooting for Watkins Glen. I am letting my flag fly here. Definitely Watkins Glen. I'm originally from New York State myself, so I have to support a quote-unquote local track at Watkins. But obviously we'll have an incredible round 4, regardless of what track we're going to be at. So excited either way. And today is a beautifully hot, sunny day in Imola here on the track. And you were mentioning the release of the most recent update for ACC and the tire degradation, actually. We were talking about.
Yeah. So, and literally everything to do with car physics changed with 1.9. Kunos, they decided, no, we're not going to just, tweak. We're going to strip it right back, then do a whole new physics great ground up build, and I've not had a lot of running on the 1.9 update due to and other commitments, but the bit of running that I have had, everything just feels really, really different. Braking feels different. Trail braking is a little bit harder than it used to be, and tire degradation is a really, really hot topic to do with anything ACC now. Tire pressure windows have changed, and tires are now more sensitive to being in the right temperature as well as pressure. So with it being a hot track and hot ambient temperature as well, and I think we're up in the 27s, 28s for this race tonight. So tire degradation is going to play a factor. I don't think it's going to be enough for these drivers to be thinking about pitting, and out of at their normal strategies for a race like this. But certainly towards the end of the races, it could get a little bit interesting. So some of these cars could end up being a little bit of a handful if they take too much out of the tires early on.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. Fingers crossed. We'll see also as race 1 occurs, right? They always take those notes of what went right, what went wrong, and we'd love to see how they apply it to race 2, whether it's how the driver in front of you was doing, whether it's your tire degradation, a little bit of everything, and then race 2 plays out completely differently or more chaotically, depending how you look at it, which is always great for commentating because it always gives us something to talk about. So I'm super excited for today.
Yeah. And just looking at some of the qualifying times from around drivers and out there, no surprise, Penelope Dobbins up at the top of the leaderboard and very commandingly at the top of that leaderboard. 1.2 seconds down to P2, with currently being held by Aristophilean. So pretty dominant lap times being put in there by Penelope.
In real life, the GT3 lap record of Emma is actually 141.882. But looking at the guide from ACC, 140.5. If you're an alien, 141.5. Super respectable, and I think it actually puts you within the top 5% of sim racers having a time like that. And 143 race pace is something that is extremely respectable, and that is crazy fast. Considering how narrow some of these has narrow.
And yet you were mentioning the sausage curbs. A perfect example of what happens if you take a little bit too much.
First victim, luckily happening during qualifying, not during the race, so we can get the sausage curbness out of the way here when it unsettles the car just like that. Oof.
Yeah, but they brilliant job of holding on to the car and not careening it into the wall. So well held and no damage.
I think out of all the GT3s, the Mercedes is one of the best cars to handle the aggressive attack on the sausage curb, but of course not too aggressive. There's always a limit to what a car can handle, especially at the speeds that they're going around the track and the temperature, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. I mean, and interestingly, I've just noticed Natalie Lee still has not been able to put in a lap time together. So not got too much longer to get a valid time on the board. Just looking to see how many laps Natalie has put in. She's actually not put in any laps yet, so I'm wondering if she might be having technical issue. Oh, she is out on track at the minute, in that lovely purple and pink Wild Things Racing livery. One of my favorite liveries. So simple yet so striking. They run the same livery style in all of the championships that Wild Things Racing enter, and always love it. But Natalie needs to get a time on the board here to not be sat right at the back when the flag drops.
Yeah, so far 9 minutes and 42 seconds have elapsed. Remember, these are your 15-minute lobbies, first 15 minutes for the AMs, the next 15 for the pros. So take a note of the fastest times here and see how they compare to our pros. It's very, very intriguing. And seeing the subtle differences that the pros take sometimes through these corners is crazy to watch how the variables change from track to track, car to car, driver to driver, especially their driving styles. Penelope Delvin still with the highest time of 142.325.
Yeah, I mean, I always really love to watch the differences between AM and pro drivers. The tiny little nuances that make the difference between a 142 and a 141 on a circuit like this. So small, so minute when you look at what they're doing, but it ends up making just a massive difference. And I always, whenever I'm in a server with really quick pro drivers, I love sitting on board with them just to see what it is that they're doing that's different. And you think, oh, I'm braking just that late, or they trail braking, just as much as they are, but yeah, it all adds up to really big differences.
Even something as small as like 1,000th of a second, just because you braked a little early or later or accelerated perfectly out of the corner, right? The smallest thing, and of course time is everything here when racing. Watching yesterday's Fanatec GT World Challenge America, a race was actually lost by 1,000th of a second. That was hard for the race control to decide, but luckily the transponders in the car made that a little bit easier for everyone's job. That is insane to think how close those cars were.
Yeah, I mean, when you start getting up into the really big pro esports championships and competitions, the difference between even first to 10th is just insane, absolutely crazy. So. Yeah, it's
Penelope actually
phenomenal to watch.
Her time. She improved. She was at a 142.235, is now at a .212. Didn't even know it was possible to
Wow.
improve. She was already going
Yeah.
so quickly, and they're already cruising. I wonder if she can do a 142 flat, is what she's trying to attempt here on qualifying for the AMs.
Yeah, but I mean, it just goes to show that, even though Penelope has, such a commanding lead in the AM qualifying so far, that, she's not happy to just sit on her laurels. She's still pushing and looking to increase that lap time. But, looking at, P2 through to P5, P4, there's still only 2 seconds in there. So, even just finding a little bit of lap time, 1 second between P2 to P4, even just finding a little bit of lap time is definitely going to make a difference to where you actually qualify. So, and even though there's just over a minute and a half left in the AM qualifying session, all drivers are out on track looking to improve.
That's a really good point, right? Keep improving your qualifying time, even though you're well ahead of the pack, just to increase that gap. Just in case. You never know when someone's going to blow you out of the water and sneak up on you in the last minute.
Yeah, and something that and I always advocate is all the time that you spend on track, regardless of whether you're at the back or the front, it's all learning experience. It's all it's all going to make you a better driver, no matter where it is that you're running.
I do want to talk a little bit about maybe some top hits for Imola. For example, being aggressive, like we mentioned, was one of them with the medium speed chicanes and the attacking the entry. We also talked about riding the curbs hard, which kind of goes hand in hand with aggressiveness, especially on turns 8, 14, and 15 for the chicanes. Reducing your corner angles, using all of the track. That was one tip I got when I was doing Imola. It was a big one, just flowing. Many of the braking zones around Imola aren't completely straight. For example, the braking zone to turn 9 is a downhill elevation, and then that fast turn left. So I hope they got some practice in before this race, because it's gonna be crazy.
It is going to be crazy, yeah. I mean, because this is such a varied track that you've got, long straights, interspersed with some very interesting and very technical corner complexes. Exit speed, I think, is the one thing that makes all of the difference here. Being able to get on the power just that split second quicker than your competitors is what makes the big difference around here, and what helps you really gain the lap time. Being able to get on the power just a split second earlier, can end up giving you 3, 4, 5 tenths by the end of that particular straight. And especially coming out of turn 18 Ravazza, same with coming out of the chicane at P14, 15. Tosa is another one. The kind of semi hairpin at turn 7. Just getting on the power just that little bit earlier, keeping the car under control, coming out of corners. That, I think, is what makes the big difference, and where certainly I've been able to find lap time here, is just being a little bit braver, coming onto the gas coming out.
And now we have our pros qualifying here. What time should we expect? 140, some alien times, I'm assuming.
I certainly wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't put it past Anora Rose to be pushing the realms of the 140s. I mean, Penelope managed a 41.9 before the end of that session, so we have dipped into the 41s, and I would fully expect Anora to come out of this with a 40 time. And when we're on board with her at the minute, I think this is a hot lap, and she's properly pushing. So we're just coming out of the Tamburello section coming up into Villeneuve. As we just come up into the heavy braking zone for P7 into Tosa. This is one of those areas. Get on the power earlier, prevent the back end from stepping out, and make the run up the hill. Bit of a blind crest coming into turn 9 at Paratala. Sometimes difficult to pick your braking zone. But then down through the turn 10, turn 11, not really too much to worry about. But then coming into the famous Acqua Minerale, very, very easy to end up going wide in turn 13. Track limits can be an interesting point there, as hit the braking zone for Variante Alte in the chicane. More curb you can take there, braver you can be, then the better. Turn 16, not really that much of a corner, but one that you've got to position the car just right to come into turn 17, 18 complex for Redvazza, two right-hand corners, and then making the run up to the start-finish line. Cut as much of that green paint as you can. Again, not getting too close to the wall to get shy of the track limits. And Oroz very easily up into P1 with a 41.4.
Oh, what a gorgeous lap.
Yeah. And that's just...
That. I was taking notes, by the way.
If only I could translate that into what I can do on track, that would be wonderful. But yeah, talking through somebody else doing it, much, much easier than doing it yourself.
Yeah, easier said than done sometimes, Just just go fast, obviously. That's all you have to do and everything, right?
Yeah.
There's no handling of cars. But Anora Rose with a 141.430. Wow. Alexa Gates, 0.425, 5,000 of a second.
We were talking about the fine margins, and there you go. Yeah. But as we were saying, Penelope Dobbins, even with a lot of the pro drivers getting their first sets of proper lap times in, currently still sitting in a very, very respectable P3. So just goes to show how great a time that was from Penelope. Amazing to see an AM driver mixing it up with the pros.
And to your point earlier, everything from P1 to P5 within a second of each other, which is great to see. And Anora Rose with a possible improvement. Let's see what her time is. She crosses the line. Wow! With
5/1000 is different now. Yeah.
I could 2-0.
Yeah, I can see this happening for the next 10 minutes now. That they are just going to be trading P1s back and forth by tiniest margins, but it's fantastic to watch.
You ever watch the crowd at a tennis match and their heads are moving back and forth as they volley the ball back? And this is exactly what's happening here as we're watching these two go back and forth with thousandths of a second. Here we are on board again with Alexa Gates, hearing there might be an improvement. Let's see what the time is here as she crosses the line.
Oh,
wow,
considerable improvement.
That one was huge with a 0.190. That is a 0.230 improvement. Volley back to Rose.
Yeah. So I do think that this is going to definitely be going back and forth now. But a lot of the pro drivers back into the pits, probably putting on fresh set of tires, taking a bit of fuel out, recalculating tire pressures just to make sure that everything is perfect for some final stints, some final pushes for the last few minutes.
Yeah, 8 minutes and 22 seconds remaining of their qualifying. Let's see what other lobbying we'll have. But to your point again, Penelope Dobbins still within a second of these leaders as they go back and forth with their times.
Yeah. And Anora Rose, as predicted, now taking back then the lead. but only by 5/100, so still really, really tight, but we are desperately close to getting into the 140s. At last lap time there by Rose, a 141.132. So yeah, this is gonna get spicy.
And for our viewers watching, sure, I only say 5 thousandths of a second, but I'm just letting everyone know, full of transparency, that I could not do this. So we're very impressed. Personally,
No.
me with my jaw on the floor every time I see their times gaining. And it's crazy to watch. This is so
Yeah.
cool. And this is what I love about more
Yeah.
female racers. This is the talent here is kind of unmatched. And I love that the leaders are going back and forth, right? And then there's competition all throughout the grid, throughout the race, which is incredible to see them fighting for their placements.
Yeah, and it's it just goes to show that the it doesn't matter what sex of a driver you are, or age or anything like that, that you can have amazing tight competition like this. Nora Rose and Alexa Gates just trading blows back and forth, making this really, really exciting. Really interesting, and you can get then this level of competition in a series that's that's open to anyone, and when we've seen some fantastic drivers coming through the MFR series in the past. Some drivers have even gone on to big name esports competitions. So this is a fantastic breeding ground for amazing female drivers. So, and I love being a part of it, and it's just so fun to watch.
And we, of course, have to thank our sponsors. So, of course, powered by Mercedes-AMG. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here watching. Right? And Coach Dave Academy, and shout out to our broadcast team for making this possible.
Yeah.
Me and Sam are just here for fun.
Oh, yeah.
We're just happy to talk about it.
Unabashedly just here to talk about really great racing. And, there's been some talk in the chat about Penelope Dobbins, just amazing lap time, currently still in P3. The next AM below her, down in P12. So it just goes to show how quick a time that was. Simgrid dropping little bit of a hint that Penelope may be reclassed for the second half of the championship, so that she can see how she does against the pros, and I think that would be interesting to see.
And Nora Rose besting her own time, now at a 140.910.
There we go, into the 140s. Fantastic.
Wow. Now that is some alien timing right there. That is extremely cool to see. And I wonder if we get that replay for us post-race, so we can for us to take notes and learn how she did that.
Yep.
Just to prep ourselves for future races.
Definitely. On board, slow motion. Yep. But full telemetry, please.
Yes. Exactly. Here about the Mochenska. Some incredible showings the past couple of races, fighting for those positions, regardless of what incidents happen on track. Very cool to watch as she climbs back from the leaderboard if something happens, or just weaving her way through traffic. Always incredible skill set that folks have. I think we talk about this sometimes. You can have the most perfect one lap in qualifying on the most perfect racing line, but you'll never have the perfect racing line in a race due to traffic or competition behind you, the pressure from behind, defending, attacking. So very cool to see how folks manage traffic, how the drivers manage defending, and seeing what they come up with on race pace, and when they're going 3, 2, 4 wide.
Yeah. And then that I think is a really, really vital point to make, is that certainly something that I struggled with when I first got into sim racing. Learning on private servers and just hot lapping, great to learn the track, great to learn the car, but you don't really learn racing until you're in a race, and you're gonna make mistakes, you're going to hit people, you're gonna get penalties, all of that, but it's part of learning as a sim racing driver. And communities like MFR and some of the other communities that I've been fortunate enough to be a member of, finding the right community that's going to support you through that early learning phase to help you learn what it's like to be on a track with other cars and other drivers that are human, really, really vital. And I think that's one of the unsung heroes of championships like this, is that these drivers get this experience. When we've got some drivers that are brand new to sim racing, this is their first competitive outing, and this is where you learn to race, is in championships like this. So absolutely fantastic.
I'm mentioning the comments in the chat, but also in our own Discord, that folks, they're extremely supportive of each other, and even after the races, they'd be like, hey, sorry this happened. So to learn how to race in an environment so friendly, so wholesome, if I do say so myself, as we sometimes talk about which poll we're going to vote for, which track, on the poll we're going to vote for. A little bit of banter back and forth about our favorite tracks. And this is a great avenue for them to learn about racing, compete against each other, and get that, hopefully, more than 15 minutes of fame for the future.
Yeah, definitely. My first competitive championship was MFR season 3, I think, when it was in the Lambo STs. So yeah, and I got my taste for competition in this exact same series. So it's like I said, it's a fantastic proving ground, and you can't discount that safe space enough. Quite often public lobbies, they can be hard work. They can be a little toxic. Every now and then you get somebody who figures out that you're a learner or that you're a woman, and all the abuse comes out, and then it can be really, really intimidating and really off-putting. I avoided public lobbies completely and utterly because of it, and I feel that it's definitely put back my advancement as a racing driver, because it took me so long to find an environment like this where I could learn being on track with other cars and not feeling intimidated. But intimidation is definitely what Honora is doing as we come up into the final 10 seconds of qualifying. Unless Alexis is gonna pull a rabbit out of the hat here on this final lap, Honora's going to get this, as we see April Carsward come into the pits, probably practicing, just making sure to know where those pit boards are. Just on board with Beta Pachenska for turn 1, hot and spicy. Definitely loving the hot and spicy livery.
And shout out to Sarah Dove here, P3 with a 141.615, top 3 within a second of each other. And then, of course, Penelope Dobbins right there with a 1.015. Well, I would classify in the top 3 right there, because that 0.015, that could be something she can easily improve upon, or gain, in the during the race. Followed by Anna Foster, Denise Pope, April Carlsward, Ruby Acosta, Skylar Vixen, and Sophie Arwan are your top 10 right now for qualifying. But actually, qualifying just ended. Perfect. I was looking at the time to see how much time was remaining here, and I was like, wow, that worked out really well.
That did, yeah. It's one of the things that commentating on these races, you end up getting into a discussion, and before you know it, you look up and it's like, oh, qualifying's nearly over. We better get back to the action on track.
So, of course, we have 2 races for everyone to enjoy and watch today and cheer on your drivers. The first, of course, both going to be 30 minutes. Race 1 coming up shortly. I expect some race control messages popping up the first couple of races, as folks kind of learn how they aggressively attack these chicanes, how they go through such narrow corners together. I'm expecting to see some off tracks for sure, but I think we're going to see some really incredible lap times coming up shortly.
Yeah, I mean, and especially with such a long run from the start finish line into the first heavy braking zone. Yeah, turn one is technically in the middle of that straight, not straight, just after pit exit, or sorry, just before pit exit. But the heavy braking zone into Tamburello, I think that's that's where. In the past, I think race one, people have been a little bit more cautious, a little bit more reserved. But race two, I'm expecting quite a bit of carbon fiber to be strewn about, so some paint traded, and definitely some elbows out for that second race. As I mentioned, we're halfway through the championship. And our front runners definitely keeping an eye on the points. But with the points being so close, those that are just outside of the top three in each of the categories, they might be thinking, okay, let's potentially get a little bit more aggressive and see if we can pick up some extra points. So this tends to be the point where things start to get a little spicy, I think.
And we were informed by our team that Natalie had some connection issues, so no time on the board, but hopefully gets to having a great race, climb it through the top. And this is our grid. Look at these liveries. Oh, I love them every time I see them lined up. They are a perfect showcase of our drivers' personalities and their values and their hobbies. A little bit of everything here, and very colorful, which I appreciate, that we don't just see the just only black or silver, the typical Mercedes colors. We're seeing a lot of personality through here. We have Honora Rose, Alexa Gates, Sarah Dove, Penelope Dobbins, your top four, sharing the first two rows. Anna Foster, Denise Pope, April Karsvard, Ruby Acosta, Skylar Vixen, Sophie Irwin, Beata Bochenska. Those are your top 11. We have Josie Austin, Lisa Louise, Yvonne Hufflar, Eris Aphilion, Marin Edwards, Maya LaFurla, Cosmo Marsh, Charlotte Robertson, Sarah Stant, Catherine Razzie, Cision Integral, and Natalie Lee.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Natalie progresses through the field. Though Natalie is an AM driver, she's quite experienced with the Wild Things Racing team, which is headed up by our very own Denise Pope, currently up in P5. So I would definitely see Natalie want to do quite well to get up through the order. I've just noticed Ruby Acosta has been teleported to the pits. I don't think she clicked drive in time before the formation lap. So Ruby Acosta will be starting from the pit lane. Interesting. Plot thickens.
Oh, that does thicken, considering how fast she is.
Yeah.
That does thicken.
Could be a blessing in disguise. Potentially, avoid some of the carnage at Tamburello. But yeah, Ruby's gonna have her work cut out for her to not only get through all of the AM drivers to get back up in amongst the pros. So yeah, interesting to see how Ruby now approaches this race.
Something to denote, like we said, the qualifying times are very impressive. Again, Penelope Dobbins had a 142.212 for the AMs, and then Honora Rose with a 140.910. But of course, as our qualifying race pace will be something interesting to see how they develop.
Yeah, so just looking at the qualifying times, Ruby Acosta was in P8, so now down in P23. I've just seen Cosmo Marsh now also showing in the pits as well. Now, Cosmo did make it away for the formation lap. So has teleported to the pits during the formation lap. So I'm wondering if maybe Cosmo's having potentially a little bit of connection issues or technical issues, but we can dwell on that all that we want as our drivers come up to the start-finish line just after the corner that's not a corner of P19.
And let's get started here. Round 3 of More Fuel Racers, and we are green. Let's see what these starts that we have. Wow, Rose and Gates side by side.
A little bit of rubbing. Yeah,
absolutely.
Leaning on it just a little bit, but make it through turn 1. And
Nora Rose is the winner there.
Yeah, definitely. All looking relatively clean behind. As I say, that's
in the back. Oh no!
Yeah, there's about 4 or 5 cars involved in that, and unfortunately, everybody pointing the wrong way.
A few off tracks as we get some hopefully safe rejoins here. Perfect rejoin from Sophie Irwin. Hopefully able to keep her placement. A little bit of kerfuffle in the back. I'm seeing everyone rejoin. Hopefully not too bad. No damage there.
Yeah, a little bit of some damage on a couple of the back markers that we just flicked past, but just on board with Beta Pachanska at the minute, currently sitting in P7. They're doing quite well to get through the carnage, although I think the main contact, I think, and was a little bit further down the order. Hopefully, we will get a replay of what triggered that incident, because I think that ended up being a little bit of a concertina effect with the cars running so closely together that something just went in a little bit awry for one driver, and unfortunately had quite a knock-on effect for other drivers around. But Nora Rose come through and finish the first lap. Nora Rose comes across the line, holding on to that P1 position. Alexa Gates 0.3 of a second behind. But Beta Pachanska feeling all kinds of pressure from Denise Pope behind as we come out of where have we just come out? I think we've just come out of Villeneuve, coming up to P7 of Tosta, make the run up the hill.
And shout out to our stewards here as we're getting a replay of the start. See the moment where it occurs. Oof.
Yep. Just a little bit of a tap on the back end, so wasn't too sure which car it was, but got caught just a little bit too much of the curb, kicked then the car out sideways, and unfortunately into then the back quarter panel of the car alongside, and just spinning them off stage left, and collecting a few other drivers in the process.
It's the collection that really gets you, you know? When you try to
avoid it,
you made it, and then you're just completely out of your control.
Yeah, it's you know, but it's part of racing, you know, and especially in the opening few laps, tires are cold. You know, you're carrying, you know, the most fuel that you can for the race. Alexa Gates just gets a little bit a little bit too greedy on the grass, but manages to catch the slide beautifully. Doesn't cause any problems, but she has lost a heap of time. Now nearly a second back from Nora Rose, as she puts in fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, great with the Nora Rose and Alexa Gates with the 141.8. Gates with the 0.845 and Rose with the 0.857, which is insane to see. Oh, what a beautiful pass there. I think everyone's getting settled in now from that first lap shake-up, and we're seeing some of the driving, seeing some of the comebacks building up for the next 25 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I looked away just briefly to see what then the times are, and it's impressive that our leaders are putting in, 41.8s already this early on. So carrying 30 minutes worth of fuel, and they're already getting close to those qualifying times. So yeah, it's. Fantastic to see, such quick times right out of the gates. But Penelope Dobbins has reclaimed back up into that P3 position. Currently nearly 4.5 seconds back from our leaders. So Nora Rosen and Alexa Gates just checking out in front, and just ending up just having a race on their own, as we start seeing some penalties starting to come in. Erisafilian getting a 10-second penalty for contact with 137 on lap 1. Just looking to see who 137 is. That is Josie Austin. Josie Austin. So I've got a feeling that was the initial contact that caused all of the carnage into lap 1. Just getting a little bit too much of the curb, and unfortunately taking out Josie, but is still running closely behind Eris, currently still in P16.
And again, some incredible battles up and down the field. You can see between P13 and P12, P11, P14, P13. I mean, that whole mid-sector grid, I mean, besides our leaders being within a second of each other, going down the line, P7 and P6 with Pope and Vixen fighting for that position. Very awesome to see that it's not just the leaders having a little race. Everyone's racing everyone and trying to survive the race.
Yeah, and this is the great thing about series like this, is that up and down the grid you've got really, really close, tight battling. As Sarah Stat just goes a little bit wide, allows Sophia Ronwin to sneak in through on then the inside. And Natalie Lead looking to tries to get up then the inside, and possibly misjudges then the gap a little bit, which is a shame. I mean, Natalie Lee, she was starting from the back due to those connection issues and that she had during qualifying. I'm wondering if then there might have been a little bit of maybe some lag, if she's still got a little bit of connection issues going on. I can see then the car of Natalie jumping around a little bit, so I'm wondering if that might have had something to do with it. But Natalie Lee currently doing really, really well up in P14, considering she started at the back. Same with Cosmo Marsh, also starting at the back of the grid. As we've got another time penalty coming in for Amy Foster, time penalty with for her contact with 177, who is Sarah Dove. That happening also on lap 1 as well. So Stewart's definitely being kept busy in the opening stages of this race.
And this is not a forgiving track, that's for sure.
No, it's very easy if you get just a little bit wrong, that it goes very badly very quickly here. So yeah, as we see an onboard with Denise Pope getting all over then the back of Vixen, coming down then the start-finish straight. Who's going to be the bravest to then the late breakers? Going through Tamburello side by side. Really, really fantastic driving from both drivers, but it looks like Denise Pope manages to get the job done on the run down to Villeneuve.
Plenty of room too by that
fantastic. Yeah, really, really great, respectful racing from both those drivers. Denise Pope, one of our long-standing faces in the MFR season, heads up the Wild Things Racing. Fantastic driver. I love racing with Denise. Very, very respectful, but also, very, very quick driver, and as well as she's just proven, taking up into P6.
About the Bochenska trying to defend against Sarah Dove, as we just saw there, keeping her at bay, and now we're on board with Sophie Irwan, trying to defend against Charlotte Robertson. Oh, and another message from Race Control. Shout out to our stewards, car 713 and car 3, lap 1, 15-second time penalty for car number 3, which is integral, and against, I believe it's causing a collision on car 713.
And I'm not seeing... there she is. Integrale down in P21. So, yeah, 15-second time penalty. That's quite a stiff slap on the wrist from our stewards there, for that contact.
Remember, though, it is a 30-minute race. 5 seconds. It's a pretty huge penalty to have, considering we see how close these margins are against these drivers being so close together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially with the second race being determined by their finishing positions in this race, penalties in the early race can really, really compromise your second race, because where you finish in class is where you will start for race number 2 of the evening. So obviously the drivers will be shuffled back into class order, but they will start in their finishing positions from this round. So some of those penalties, especially for Aristophilean, currently sitting in P3 in class, that is going to give Eris quite an unfortunate disadvantage for starting the second race of the evening. And as with Foster, currently sitting in P4, P3 in class, but again, that 10 seconds is going to put her down, I believe, to P7, P8, as it stands at the minute. So then these penalties in race 1 can be very, very costly.
Here we are, Rose of 2.041 seconds ahead of Gates. Interesting. I wonder what happened there, considering Gates was within a second of Rose. The first.
Gates did have that little bit of a wander into the grass, just coming in, I believe, into Tamburello. She just got a wheel onto the grass, sent her a little bit wide, but they are still pulling away, the pair of them from Penelope Dobbins. That gap now 9.5 seconds down to P3 after 7 laps. So quite a hefty lap time difference between them. So their last lap times, Rose and Gates were putting in mid to low 41s. Dobbins and back still putting in 43. So considerable difference between Gates and Rose and the rest of the grid. Hence why they're just pulling away lap after lap after lap. That gap now 10 seconds.
Though very impressive, also very cool to watch. That huge gap is growing the number by. The skills needed here. And here we see, again, these battles happening as well in the midfield. We have, we're looking at Natalie Lee here, Aristophilean, and Charlotte Robertson fighting for that P11, P12, P13 positioning.
Yeah, and
so far, no one has installed themselves on those curbs. Knock on wood. No commentators.
Yeah.
But,
you said it, not me. You said it, not me.
I'll be banned from the Discord if something happens.
But yeah, I mean, seeing Aristophilean just kind of caught in the middle of this battle between Robinson, Aphilion, and Lee, with that 10-second penalty, Eris needs to try and gain as many positions as they can, and try and get as much of a gap as they can as well, just to try and offset that 10-second penalty. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on how Eris does in the midst of this battle. As we just jump on board with Yvonne Hofeler, currently sitting in P17, looking to get past Verla in front. As we say, LaFarlow having a little bit of an excursion into the sand. Catherine Rossi, we just see recovering from an off. Now, not too sure whether that was assisted or just getting things a little bit wrong on her own. Oh. And we just come aboard, and this looks like that was the tail end of the culmination of this three-way battle for P11. And it looks like Ruby Acosta is the one that benefited most from that, has ended up in P11 with Erisa Affiliate and Natalie Lee. Charlotte Robertson looks like in the process of trying to get back onto tracks, potentially make contact with another driver as well. Hopefully we'll get a bit of a replay to see how that incident developed.
Oh, it's so unfortunate. Wow, a lot of kerfuffle there in the middle. That's what you get with close racing, though. I mean, everyone's vying for that corner, for that apex, trying to get on the brakes a little bit faster, and the brakes a little bit later than the person behind them or next to them. So
yeah, and then this is this is what I was talking about, in the pre-race build-up is. Then this sort of experience of driving with other cars, your braking distances are going to be different. You can't take the same lines as you can when you're hot lapping. Your braking points are different. Your turn-in points are different. So it's just what you're going to learn as you develop. But it looks like Robinson just missed the braking point coming into, I think that was coming out of Paratella, missed a braking point, and in the process of coming back onto the track, just collected the other drivers. So I would suspect that the stewards not going to look very, very favorably on that. Safe rejoins is something that these drivers are reminded about in the pre-race drivers meetings, drivers briefings, to rejoin safely, because you don't want to upset somebody else's race in the process of
drag race to the first corner, non-corner.
And very, very cleanly through, but just a little bit of contact there from Skylar Vixen. Unfortunately, Skylar looks like the one who has suffered from that incident, as she ended up facing the wrong way. It's going to take her a little bit more time to get that car pointed in the right direction, as we just see in the background coming back onto track.
I'm going to call that the camera operator's curse. We weren't even talking about it yet. Oh, that was great. Oh, and a message from race control. Excuse me. The incidents between cars 604, 604 and car 19 on lap 4. 10-second time penalty for car.
Yeah, so that's Sarah Stant and Natalie Lee. So Sarah Stant getting the time penalty there. With her contact with Natalie Lee. When was that? That was on lap 4. We're currently on lap 11. So the steward's still working through the incidents from this race.
There's so much action on track.
There is, yeah.
There's a queue of race control messages that's about to pop up for us coming through. But I do want to know, Ruby Acosta and Natalie Lee, right, started in the back, getting in the pits for one reason or another, and now Ruby in P11 and Natalie Lee here at P14. I'm very interested to see how this all plays out in racing. Anything can happen again. There's a 30-minute race, and look at the shuffle and the penalties we have on the board. It'd be very interesting to see what happens in race 2.
Yeah, and then this is one of the reasons why I'm always talking about mindset in racing, especially sim racing. You know, with Natalie Lee having connection issues, absolutely nothing, that is within her control. Ruby Acosta, we're not too sure, what the issue there was, but it could put you off. It could think, oh well, I'm starting at the back. What's the point? But then they've continued racing. They've been racing from the back. Then there's been incidences happening in front of them. They've been doing a fantastic job overtaking the slower drivers. And now then they've made their way up into the mid grid. Still another just over 9.5 minutes left. They could for all intents and purposes end up in the top 10. Especially with some of the penalties around them. So, just because you start at the back or just because you have an incident, keep racing. You never know what's going to happen in the course of the rest of the race. And, you could end up almost, being gifted and extra spaces just because you kept going.
You might end up with a reverse grid for all we know. Anything can really happen.
Yeah.
And then here we are on board, looking behind, actually, Anna Foster as she tries to defend from April Karsvard here. So close. This is for P4 we're looking at. With Denise Pope not too far behind, actually.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Denise's time to update. She's 6 seconds back, so Anna Foster, she's
inside.
Yep, she's got to keep this place with that 10-second penalty.
Headlights.
Yeah.
I have such beef when people flash their headlights at me, but I understand why people do it because it definitely gets into my head, right? It's all about mind games and with the pressure on the driver in front of you.
Yeah. See, it doesn't really bother me actually.
How? How do you do that?
Well, for good or for bad, I don't really pay that much attention to what's going on behind me. It's the way I look at it. I'm going to take my racing line, and unless of course then the radar says, okay, they're right up on their inside, you can't take your normal line as you would. Other than that, I don't really pay a whole lot of attention behind me. That's probably a really, really bad thing to say, and I've got no doubt that lots of people probably in chat are cringing, thinking, oh my god, that's just so bad. But yeah, it just doesn't bother me, and they can flash all they want. It's not going to change anything. But yeah, that's just me. It does bother a lot of people though.
It's me. I'm those people that it bothers. So I'm just so focused, and I see those flashing lights, especially when it's like a night race of the 24 hours, and you're like, oh, please, like, behind me, just deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, when you're a back marker, and I've got a lot of experience, so unfortunately of being, back markered and being blue flagged. If you're in the middle of, a podium battle, and it's a really, really close battle, flashing your lights to warn blue flag drivers that, you're coming up quick, you're in a battle, don't, then try it, making them aware that you're there and that you're going to be coming. That I get, and that, and I obviously pay attention to. But, somebody's battling for position, just trying to put me off. Flash how you want, it's not going to bother me.
We have a warning to car 79, which is Denise Pope, for the incidents between cars 604 with Sarah Stant on lap 5. But to let people know, I'm actually 14 laps in, so race control has their hands full. For Denise Pope, that is only a warning.
Yeah, so quite a lot going on in this race. Definitely, in action to be seen no matter where down the grid we're looking. Currently on board with Alexa Gates, And just looking ahead, I think Alexa has possibly had a little bit of another issue. So somewhere along the line, she has dropped off considerably from Honora Rose. Now 7 seconds back. So I think she might have had another little bit of an issue. Tires may be starting to go off. We are coming into the last 5 minutes, she was pushing really hard at the beginning to try and keep on the back of Nora Rose. Might have just taken a little bit too much life out of the tires. Just looking, her previous lap time was a 1:42.6. Honora still pumping in the 41.5s on a regular basis. Penelope Dobbins still putting in the 1:43s. Hence why that gap to P3 has grown to 16.5 seconds after 14 laps. And Nora is just in a class of her own.
She is locked in. She has her blinders on. She is racing. She's putting down those lap times, increasing those gaps every single lap that we see. She has 4 minutes and 18 seconds left to keep adding seconds there too. So I wonder how big the gap is going to be and how they'll compare to race 2 and what Gates is going to do in that case from the start. It'll be very interesting to see how everyone's strategies kind of change within the next 34 minutes. Getting a race control message here. Incident between car 939 and 11 on lap 9. Just marked as a racing incident. That 939 is Eris Affilian, and car 11 would be Charlotte Robertson.
Yeah. So I'm just checking in with the YouTube vote on where our next round is going to be. Is it going to be Watkins Glen, or is it going to be the brand new track at Valencia? Ash, you'll be happy. You're currently in 58%, Valencia 42. So just slightly edging out for Watkins Glen at the minute. So keep those votes coming in. Votes will be open until the just as we come into the our winners interviews at the end of race 2. So keep getting those votes in. You decide where we head next. Do we head to Watkins Glen, or do we head to the brand new 1.9 DLC release track of Valencia?
We just watched Cosmo March. That was a beautiful overtake on Milo Farla on the start-finish straight there, leaving plenty of room. And it's only taken 3 rounds for my track to be selected, so fingers crossed. Chat will do me the honor of racing at Watkins Glen in 2 weeks.
Yeah, just looking at that previous shot with Charlotte Robertson, that car definitely carrying quite a bit of damage on the front end there. It's in quite a bit of bonnet gap, which is never good.
It's the airflow to the engine. I don't know why that would be bad, you know? And it just cools everything down faster. To me, it just makes sense to have more damage on the bonnet there.
Yeah, not really very good for aerodynamics though, unfortunately.
Yeah. Science, you know?
Yeah.
Here we're watching Sarah Dove and Beata Wojcicka. It's great to see Beata here in the top 10 as Sarah's trying to get that P7.
Yeah, Sarah Dove, another one of our familiar faces in the MFR season. I believe Sarah has definitely been in the last 3 or 4 seasons, and really great to see her back for season 6 in the beautiful Mercedes-AMGs. So just in reply to Hockenbach's comment on YouTube, yes, this is an all-female racing championship sponsored by Mercedes-AMG, and it is fantastic to see these ladies battling it out on some really, really fantastic tracks.
Look at this
Makes
defense from Beata.
really-
She's like, no, you cannot pass me. Not at
Yeah.
this corner, not at any corner. Slamming the door there from Sarah Dove. I wonder if she can keep it up for the next. We have 40 seconds remaining of the 30-minute race. Of course, got to wait for the white flag, finish that final lap. But can Beata hold out Sarah is the question here for P7.
So, and I think we are on white flag now. I think the when the leaders crossed the start-finish line coming into this lap, that was their lap time was less than the time that was left in the more than the time that was left in the race. So, yes, this is the final lap, and everyone's now going to be looking, what are the final few passes that can be made. So Sarah Dove definitely going to be putting the pressure on Beata Pichenska and Ruby Acosta.
10. I'm spitting out there. Hopefully that doesn't affect her placement too much. She had a 12-second gap to Sophie Arwin.
Yep, and that's Honora Rose coming up to take the checkered flag with a considerable gap over Alexa Gates as she comes across, taking the checkered flag now 9 seconds back. Penelope Dobbins just coming out of the final complex at Ravazza to make the run down to take the final podium position, but takes the win in class with Amy Foster close behind, taking P3 for the pro class. As we head back to this battle with Sarah Dove and Beata Pichenska, it is going to be a drag race to the finish. It's all going to be who gets
your lives. Go.
But it looks like Sarah didn't quite get the run out of Ravazza that she needed. Photo finish, but it does look that Beata Pichenska managed to hold on to P7 by
that was
1/10.
Cool to watch.
Yeah, that was fantastic. So we just had on board with Eris Affilian just coming out of Ravazza, where they are going to be taking P2 in AM, and Natalie Lee from the back of the grid due to connection issues takes P3 in the AM class, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you should always keep racing no matter what happens. P3 in class, fantastic comeback for Natalie there. Really, really great race. So we've still got it all to do again.
Dude, one more time. We know some of the drivers are taking those mental notes down of exactly how the drivers responded to certain attacks, certain corners, the speed at which they do certain things. So I wonder how that's going to change up or shake up to certain things. If Alexa Gates is going to change her starting aggressiveness a little bit to get ahead of Rose there and try to build that gap for race 2. I'm excited for race 2. I love the 2 races back to back. I like to see how they learned from race 1 or see what they changed from race 1. And race 2 is always a little bit more aggressive. So I'm seeing them try to fight for those positions and points and knowing what they can get away with now on the track.
Yeah, I mean, if the past is anything to go by, race 2 always seems to be a little bit spicier. So, stewards, I think, are definitely going to have their hands full in this race. I mean, they had plenty to be getting on with for race 1. So, and as you said, then these drivers are now a little bit more familiar with everybody else's pace here. Going to be taking mental notes for themselves. Alexa Gates definitely, does need to think about, her why her pace dropped off so much compared to Honora in the closing stages of that race. Definitely something that I think she's going to need to have a look at. And potentially changing her strategy a little bit, maybe preserving tires, or it could very much go then the other way and say, okay, because my pace drops off, I need to be out in front. And it could be a do or die turn one. Who knows?
Yeah. Next, we're going to look at Nora Rose's qualifying lap here. We actually might need to institute a bop on her there for the next couple of rounds. She keeps putting these race laps down.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
All right.
I think during the our initial qualifying, I think this is the lap that we did the track walkthrough. So this is her best qualifying lap, and what I'm noticing, best quali lap, and she still had traffic to deal with on that lap as well. So I think there was actually more time that she could have had in this lap, but you can see how she's wrestling the car around those corners, all the minute steering corrections, just to get the power down as quickly as possible, while still keeping the car firmly under control. Absolutely amazing to watch. Love seeing this from high-end drivers like this. How much steering input then they put into these cars to get them turning in so quickly, and also being able to get on the power so much quicker than I can.
Just to remind folks, her fastest qualifying time was a 1:40.910. Her race pace was actually a 1:41.235 was her fastest lap during the race, which is extremely impressive considering the race and qualifying changes of traffic and such.
Yeah. So when with that little bit of traffic just coming into turn one of coming into turn 2 and 3 at Tamburello in that qualifying lap, I think she could have shaved maybe another 10th, possibly even 2 and off that time, depending on how much that traffic held her up. But yeah, I think there was more time there, definitely.
And I know we see previews of rain, but I don't believe we'll be getting any wet laps here for round 3. Even though I was very excited. I saw the same video that we're watching now, and I had to ask our team what the lobby was doing. And I was like, what a surprise. Did we warn anyone? They're like, no. It's not raining, we promise.
Wouldn't that be fun? Just throw some unexpected rain into the mix. Then no prior practice, no wet setups. Just see how you get on. Then that, I think, makes then the big difference between a good driver and a great driver is adaptability, to be able to adjust everything that you're doing on the fly as situations change and around you on track. Especially with then the update being still relatively recent. This is the first MFR race that we've had since then the update. I've got no doubt that a lot of these drivers have been putting in time in the practice servers, doing some public lobby races, probably competing in other series that are going on, just to try and get as much track time with the new update as possible, to figure out how these cars feel different. Everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's driving the exact same car. Everybody's got the exact same machinery under them. But slightest changes in setup of that one vehicle can make all the difference. So yeah, again, got sharing some of your YouTube chat comments. Feels a bit like watching Formula One. Not a question of who will win, but by how much Anora wins by. From Shogun, definitely. Yeah, it's really, really great when you have a dominating driver like Anora in a class like this. It is always interesting how much is she going to win by. But unlike Formula One, still plenty of action throughout the grid to keep us amazingly entertained throughout the time.
Do you remember what her gap was, the P2, to Gates, the previous race? Would you say 9 seconds around, was it, I believe?
Oh, around Silverstone.
Oh, no, sorry.
Or
The first race just happened. I'm just denoting that so we can see what changes from now to round 2, and if there's any huge, using the little numbers and like
last gap I saw it was 7.5, and I think that was just coming into the on the final lap. So has got another YouTube chat message coming up for you. Great to see these communities supporting female racers. Also great to see more women in sim racing these days. It's such a great hobby for everyone. Dan Fry, absolutely. It's such a really, really great hobby. Really good fun. Doesn't need to be expensive. There's some, very, very accessible entry-level kit. You don't need to have all the bells and whistles. And yeah, Jen, it's such a great way to meet new online friends and be involved in a community and have connection with other people. It's absolutely, certainly been a lifesaver for me and my sanity during lockdown. And I'm sure that was the same for a lot of people during COVID. Is that this was their connection to the outside world. So, as you can see, we have our starting grid sorted out and split down into class order.
The way they started the camera pan, I thought it was only Nora Rose starting in the back just by herself when no one else was on the grid. I was like, that is what happened? And then I realized we were starting from the back going forward. In the back row, we have Sarah Stant. Moving up the row, we have Lisa Louise, Catherine Raze, Marin Edward, Charlotte Robertson, Mila LaFurla, Arisa Filion, Natalie Lee, starting at P15, Penelope Dobbins, Yvonne Hufflar, Josie Austin. Whoa, sorry, my whole thing just moved. Cosmo March, there we go. Sophie Erwin.
Starting to speed up a little bit.
Skylar Vixen, Sarah Dove, Beata Bochenska, Anna Foster, Denise Pope, April Carsward, Alexa Gates, and Nora Rose. Whew. I could talk about this. I need to do one of those auctioneer voices.
Yeah, cameraman making you work for your money a bit. While we were going through that track pan, I was just thinking, Penelope Dobbins finished the last race, P3. Obviously P1 in class, but now being sat in P14, it's gotta feel a little bit of a step back, doesn't it? I mean, she's gonna have her work cut out to try and finish in as far up the grid as she can. I mean, obviously, she's P1 in her class, but P14 is a big difference from finishing P3. Been bit of mental adjustment I feel needed there for Penelope in the cockpit getting ready for this race.
It'll be interesting to see how she weaves through the traffic and what kind of incidents occurs, and hopefully she doesn't get collected up as she tries to gain those positions back. I have news that Integrale has got disconnected again. I'm joking that it's a home race curse in the Discord, and we're sorry to hear that.
Oh no.
We hate connections.
She's still in the server, so as long as she can get and everything cooperating with her, she can take the race start, but from pit lane. And then as we saw with Natalie Lee having similar issues, it's definitely worth sticking with it, and fingers crossed that the computer gods play ball with her, that she gets to take part in the race. And
hopefully, guess saying the server connection issues. What can you do depending where the server's located to?
Yeah.
And then it could be
Yeah.
crazy.
It's just completely and utterly out of your control, and all she can do is just, get back onto the grid, back behind the car, everything running, and just mentally reset. Okay, it is what it is. Let's just drive. Just drive the car. But said back to Penelope Dobbins and what we were discussing of her weaving through traffic. As we saw in qualifying, she was considerably quicker than even a lot of the pro drivers that are in front of her. So I think it will be very interesting to see how she navigates through the back of the AM pack, and to see just how far up then the grid she gets. So definitely one to look out for, as Honora Rose leads everyone out of the final corner at Ravazza, heading down the not straight, up to the start-finish line to start round 2, or race 2 of round 3. More female racers, 30 minutes of wheel-to-wheel action. If race 1 was anything to go by, this is going to be interesting as we come up to the start-finish line, and we are green. Nora Rose not quite getting the start that she did on Alexa Gates in race 1, as they go wheel-to-wheel into turn 1, but didn't quite pan out as well for Alexa. She gets knocked, and manages to keep the car running, but she has lost a number of positions. Currently, I believe that she has reslotted back into P4, with Denise Pope in front of April Carlsbad ahead of her, Nora Rose. Now, Queen's Design, I've seen Natalie Lead rejoining, but just thinking, and April Carlsbad and Honora Rose are teammates. So for is it Queen's Design? So I wonder if there could be a little bit of team tactics going on. April Carlsbad possibly running a little bit of interference for Honora to give her a little bit of space to run away with this. Already pulled out a 1.5 second gap, and we've not even finished lap 1 yet.
Wow. Yeah, I think that was. I think that we saw just that curve that she took and accidentally just hit Gates there. Wonder if that'd be chalked up to a racing incident. Oh, we have Denise Pope here and April. Wow, look at this. 3 wide through the corner. Whoa!
Yeah,
it looks like a 4 wide happening here.
But Alexa Gates trying to take an advantage, just coming up on the inside end of April Carlsbad. I think Denise Pope quite comfortably taking P2, but April Carlsbad now under all kinds of pressure from Alexa Gates as we come up into Tamburello for the second time of asking, and looks like April Gates has managed to get the job done nice and cleanly in the midsection between Tamburello and Villeneuve. Really, really great move there. So she's now going to be hunting down after Denise Pope, but after 1 lap, Denise Pope 4.7 seconds back from Honora Rose. So Honora is just checking out in front, and just leaving everyone to squabble behind for the scraps.
And folks might think, well, we're never going to see Rose again. She's going to win this race, but don't forget she has to go through traffic when she starts lapping some folks, so that can cause a lot of issues. And I've always thought I really want a motorsports t-shirt that says I heart traffic, like the I Heart New York shirts, especially for races when that happens, because it does get a little sassy. Even though they get shown the blue flag, I mean, anything can happen if you feel that pressure from behind as they're starting to get lapped.
Yep. And and as we were mentioning, Penelope Dobbins up in P9. She's already passed 5 other pro drivers, and Eris Affilian following her through up into P13. Eris doing really, really well, keeping up, and just starting to make some inroads into the back of the pro pack. So really, really great to see from Eris there.
And let's shout out our other racers that we have. The battling going on for, of course, like I said, Penelope Dobbins, Ruby Acosta, and Austin here. I know it says Jane Austen. Ooh, but it's Josie Austen. That J always, I want to say Jane Austen, like the novelist.
Oh, this fantastic battle between
Wow.
Alexa Gates and Denise Pope. Alexa just making a fantastic move up the inside. As again, the run in between Tamburello and Villeneuve. Alexa just loves making a pass there. Makes it look easy, getting the job done in plenty of time before Tosa. Yeah, and April.
Look at everyone behind Pope. That is, they're all waiting their opportunity to get that next position. Doug Foster, Erwin, and then Bata Pachenska second, but still see her behind the little train there waiting for the next possible mistake.
Yeah. What's have you just noticed what I've noticed? Honora Rose with a 10-second penalty. What? That's got to be with the contact with Alexa Gates. In the opening stages of lap 1. So the steward's very, very quick to rule on that 10 seconds. So we know from past experience that Honora can quite easily pull out a 10-second gap. Yeah, that is definitely going to be one to watch. And Alexa Gates, no doubt, has seen that penalty come in. It's probably lit a little bit of a fire under her race seat, and she will be pedal to the metal trying to keep that gap to under 10 seconds. Definitely one to watch as this race progresses. As we see confirmation of that penalty coming in, 10-second time penalty to car 956 for causing a collision with car 35 on lap 1. Oh, the plot thickens.
But can she build up that gap? Currently 7.6 seconds, 3 laps in. But she can build up a 10-second gap to P2.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be one to watch, and this is now I think down to Alexa Gates to manage tires, manage traffic, pull a gap to Denise Pope as she already has that gap now 2.5 seconds. So that gives her the space to be able to Oh no, that was a hard hit. It is, yeah, the hot and spicy livery. That was a painful hit onto the wall. There's got to be some very, very serious damage going on in there. That's I would expect Pachenska to have to pit after that with a hit that hard. It's unlikely that car is even going to be steering straight, let alone wanting to continue with any level of controllability. So hopefully we'll get a replay as to what happened to cause that. But yeah, it's as we've said, race 2 always ends up being interesting. 4 laps in, and we've already got loads to talk about.
And like I said, 4 laps in, Honora Rose, as you see, our race leader from previously, our race winner from previously, potentially between, well, our stewards are still looking at everything, but from race 1, currently now with a 10-second time penalty on there, about the Pachenska.
Yeah,
again,
that car has got to be such a handful, and she's done the right thing, teleported back to the pits. She will be able to fix the damage. It does mean that because she used the RTG, she will have a controls lock on the car before she's allowed to rejoin the race. But hope to see her back out on track as we see a 5-second time penalty coming in for car 13 for causing a collision with car 19. That is Catherine Rossi and Natalie Lee.
Interesting to see what happens. I couldn't tell. Oh, here we go. That'd be perfect. Good timing. That's exactly what I was thinking about. What was happening here with the Bottomachenska?
Oh, so just a little bit of a tap on the rear, and was that my imagination, or was that Penelope Dobbins' livery? Then the purple on black graffiti livery.
It was Dobbins.
It was. So, obviously we have to wait and see what race control rule on that. But I wouldn't be too surprised if Penelope Dobbins has a potential penalty coming for that. Be interesting to keep an eye on how the stewards rule on that. Along with everything else that they are no doubt reviewing at the minute. I do not envy stewards' job. They definitely have a tough job to do, as Ruby Acosta goes just a little bit wide, gets a little bit greedy on the brakes and ends up sailing.
You mentioned more spiciness for race 2. I definitely agree. This is getting more aggressive, but the track can reward aggressive. It just, right, those big moves, when they pay off, but when they don't, I mean, we see these incidents occurring.
Yeah, and you know that I think is a very, very key distinction for us to make. This track does award aggressiveness. However, there is a difference between clean aggressive and just plain, all out aggression. So, obviously we advocate clean aggression, and, no contact racing, ideally, if possible. Even though it does give us plenty to talk about in the race, as we see one of the Well-Things racing cars just spinning off, and I believe that's Natalie Lee. Unfortunately ending up facing the wrong way. She manages to get the car moving again, but that is not going to do her any favors, and is probably going to drop her certainly one place back down into P21.
Some crazy domino effects happening. Like right before Natalie spun, we had Maya LaFurla going a little bit wide and then rejoining with Edwards and Stan and Robertson. All they were competing and for that same exact position, and then Natalie Lee spinning the wrong way, hopefully able to rejoin quickly and safely to get back in the race. There is 18 minutes and 34 seconds left, which is, we're not even halfway through, and all of this has happened, which makes me think, I know. We've been here for an hour or two, and I'm like, wow, look at these incidents.
Yeah. I mean, just
Anna Foster.
Yeah, just picking up on something that you just said there. Driver awareness, I think, is something that's, a skill that I don't think is talked about enough in sim racing, but I think one that is just so important. Just being aware of what other cars are doing around you. If there is an incident, a couple turns ahead, obviously the game prompts you to say that, then there is a yellow flag in the sector that you're in. Just being aware that, you could turn a corner and be faced with a car facing the other way. And cars, rejoining and around you and things like that. Somebody potentially having damage and their braking point suddenly being wildly different than you expect. Again, this is all stuff that you only learn being on track with other cars. But it's definitely a skill that I think separates the great drivers from the good drivers, is just having that. It's almost a sixth sense awareness of what other cars do around you.
We've an incident between cars 621 and 79 on lap 1. 5-second time penalty for car 79, and that's Denise Pope colliding with April Carlsward. Car 621. 5-second time penalty there for Denise Pope. The way is currently looking for Rose with 10 seconds, 7 laps in. Currently Gates is within the 10 seconds at an 8.438. However, after is Denise Pope with 10 seconds, but she does have that additional 5-second penalty. Skylar Vixen off track.
And that is very damaged.
That's not the additional airflow I was talking about in race 1
No.
that we wanted. Nope.
No, that is a very, very hard head-on collision that has happened, and at some point, that car is going to be an absolute handful to try and get back to the pits. But yeah, as things stand at the minute, with 16 minutes left in the race, if we were to check a flag now, Honora Rose, as a result of that penalty, is going to lose the position, and Alexa Gates would take then the victory. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Alexa Gates got 15 minutes, but Honora Rose equally has 15 and a half minutes to try and break that 10-second gap back to Alexa. Alexa running in free air at the minute, got plenty of gap behind her, but leaders are now starting to come into lapping traffic, which can make all the difference.
And we have a message from race control for us privately that I thought I'd read to the stream. Twice as many collisions at this stage of the race compared to race 1. They're getting, we're seeing a lot of aggressive moves, a lot of action, which is great that they're attempting to at least hear and see how it works out for them. I appreciate them trying. Ooh, Penelope Jobbins, I believe, just didn't have enough room there going side by side. I don't believe gained any advantage there. Unfortunate. Luckily, the grass did not slide her out into the wall. Was able to recover pretty quickly and rejoin safely. But yeah, more incidents than race 1, at least twice as many at the stage that we are currently in, with 14 minutes and 32 seconds. Wow. I was joking about doing too wide at those corners, but I think it took us a little literally.
They did, yeah. But interesting to note, towards the end of the race 1, they were still working through penalties from the previous race. So very, very important to note, I think, that whatever the finishing positions are in this race, they are probably going to be tentative until our provisional, that's the word I was looking for, provisional, until race control have finished going through all of the incidents reports from both races. So anything that we finish on stream is going to be tentative, and obviously we will finalize everything up for you in our lead up to round 4, which is going to be in 2 weeks' time. Remember, voting is still open for what track you would like to see.
No, I'm just kidding.
Watkins Glen is still in the lead, just marginally. Currently, the voter split is 57-43 in favor of Watkins Glen. So be sure to cast your votes before by the end of this race. So you've got about 15 minutes if you want to cast your vote as to where you want to see these drivers in 2 weeks' time.
And obviously the vote is Watkins. No, I'm just kidding. That is me being biased from New York State myself. So please vote if you'd like to see Valencia or Watkins Glen. Otherwise, I'll be very obnoxious if my track wins. But here we are on the board with Sarah Dove in the 177. Looking at Anna Foster in the 734. They've been close all race.
Yeah, and I think this is potentially going to be decided one way or the other. Certainly, then this lap, or potentially then the next, as Sarah Dove all over the back of Anna Foster there. The timing on screen doesn't really portray just how close then this is. 0.1 of a second, but within touching distance, going through then those two complexes at Temporellum and Villeneuve.
And Sarah also has a Ruby. Oh no, we have Maya LaFurla, and then Miriam Edwards here.
I feel sorry for Maren Edwards. Obviously a fellow Canadian, But she got in the Wars last race and as well. But it looks like she's still continuing to run on track. But yeah, no, not a great evening for Marin. A little bit of a tough outing for her tonight.
Hopefully she can shake it off, in the words of our favorite Taylor Swift, and get climbing back up in the races. Unfortunately for race 1 and 2, some incidents and getting collected, but like you said, that's racing sometimes, and hopefully better luck at a future Watkins Glen race in round 4. But oh gosh, I don't know how these drivers do. Looking at this replay right here, see the incident. This is Maya. Ooh.
So
just a late move on the inside.
Oh,
and then just that collateral.
Yeah, and then that looks like then the two drivers coming up after the incident. As I was saying earlier, not having that driver awareness, they would have been, informed that there was an incident up ahead. So, yeah, just reiterates my point. But Marin Edwards there looking like completely and totally missing her braking point, and just coming back into then the back of Marin LaFerla there.
This is from Race Control. Car 997, which is about the Bochenska, and car 660, which is Skylar Vixen. A 10-second time penalty for Vixen for causing that collision with Bata Bochenska.
And I'm also saying Beta Bochenska. I'd say Beta Bochenska with a drive-through. Potentially for track limits, it is easy to get track limits around here, especially at if you take too much speed coming out of Acqua Minerale, which is where we are right now. If you just even touch the sausage curbs that are on the outside of turn 13, it's an instant track limits violation. And 3 of those, and you are taking a trip through the pit lane.
What a move!
Oh,
Sarah
beautiful switchback move. Excellently done. Beautifully timed. And great move there from Sarah Dove. Getting through on Ruby Acosta.
Another message from Race Control. We have Race Control working overtime today. Incident between car 997 by Bochenska and 11 on lap 5. 11 being
Charlotte Robertson.
That would be a drive-through for Bata.
So the drive-through that we saw was not for track limits. That was for causing a collision. And yeah. Interesting to see Race Control giving that as a drive-through as opposed to a time penalty. Yeah, most of them their penalties have all been time-based. So Race Control there viewing the incident there with Beta Bochenska as being severe enough to warrant a drive-through. So quite a hefty penalty. Obviously, within the problems that Beta Bochenska was having earlier in the race, she was then at the back, so it's not really going to impact on her position, but it has put her a further lap down to the next driver up the road, which is Skylar Vixen.
And again, we're seeing the close competition for P4 here with Anna Foster, Sarah Dove, Ruby Acosta, April Carlsvard, Sophie Irwin even right behind there, and then Penelope Dobbins. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people competing. I would argue for those spots there. And then we see Nora Rose just lapping some traffic, hoping to build that gap. Actually, her gap diminished. It was about 9 seconds, but I clearly see it now. It's at 8.7. So the traffic is definitely holding her back.
Yeah, so Jen just checking in with her previous lap times. So that lap time, a 1:42.6, compared to Alexa Gates's a 1:41.9. So hence why she has lost a bit of time. She's still got 6 minutes to try and just build that gap out to the required 10 seconds to not lose the place. But time is starting to tick down on her.
Another message from race control is an incident between cars 6. I've been saying that a lot. We should just let it happen. 621. Is it 621? Sorry. 621 and car 714, which is April Carsward and Sophie Irwin. 10 seconds to car 714, I believe, which is Sophie for the incident. April. Next race control message. Car 604. This might be the whole race. Car 604 was Sarah Stant, and car 19 on lap 6. Time penalty to car 19 for causing a collision. Car 19 being Natalie Lee. You know, at this point, if you don't have a time penalty, you might be the odd one out and not be part of the cool group.
Yeah, I mean, at the minute, then this is looking like the penalties are they're going to dictate the order of this race. And then at the minute, we're going to have a change of position for the leader. Denise Pope is at the minute going to lose at least 3 or 4 positions because the fight between P4 down to P9 is so close. That's going to be quite painful for Denise, that penalty with everyone running so close behind her. And then Sophia and Aronwin, that 10 seconds is going to be somewhat painful, although then there is a big gap between Penelope Dobbins and Yvonne Hoofler, so that's going to mediate that, but Sophie is definitely going to lose at least one place there. Catherine Rousey, currently in P15. She's safe, and at the minute with that 5-second penalty, Sarah Stant too far back for that to make a difference. But Natalie Lee, she's going to lose a place out to Charlotte Roberts, and Maren Edwards is looking like, at the minute, she's safe with that 15-second penalty. With the gap down to Skylar Vixen. So, yeah, penalties are going to dictate the finishing order of this race. And we've got another time penalty coming in from race control. 15-second time penalty for car 587 for causing a collision with car 5. So that is 587 is
Maren Edwards.
Maren Edwards on Maya LaFerla.
I appreciate them testing the water, sticking the car, maybe not where exactly it's supposed to be, but yep, our drive-through penalty for Robertson now. I'm sure we'll get that race control message soon.
Yeah, they're definitely keeping us on our toes.
Well, that's just what I think. That's naturally almost what happens with close racing. Is like you're so close, and you just want to pass, or you want to make that move, and you gotta just time it well. And when you don't time it well, the incidents happen, and this is where we get all these race control messages from, just because they're racing so closely together and so well. It just ends up happening more.
Yeah, and I think what's your opinion of this actually? The fact that this is a 30-minute race. Drivers may be thinking, oh well, we don't have the time to wait for the perfect move to develop, so maybe they are being a little bit more aggressive because it's a shorter race. Do you find yourself getting a little bit more aggressive with it within the shorter sprints than the longer races? And wow, that is close.
I can't even see the track. I'm just seeing car in the camera.
Beautiful view of how much detail Konos puts into all of the underside of all of these cars being aerodynamically accurate to the real thing.
Oh wow! I thought that was going to be 3 wide. There.
It very, very nearly was.
Is Ruby Acosta benefiting from this? I believe Sarah Dev was trying to pass Anna Foster here, with Ruby Acosta now benefiting from some of the mistake. With back in line. Yeah, I believe 30 minutes, that's all you got. Oh, car turned around, but luckily not on the track. Yeah, 30 minutes. 3 minutes to make a name for yourself. 3 minutes to make a move. This is the last. This is a white flag as our leaders pass.
Oh. Yeah, that was always going to happen. These drivers have been managing to do too wide in a couple of these corners, but Variante Alte, the chicane with the huge sausage curb on the inside of turn 14, not the place that you want to do it. Can throw a car off in all kinds of directions, cars ending up looking a bit like pinball. Oh no! I've just seen Alexa Gates has just gotten a drive-through penalty. Now, I don't know if that's for track limits or for something else, but Alexa Gates with a drive-through penalty on the final lap. Oh, that is painful to see.
At this rate, we're about to get some penalties for our commentating, considering that I don't want to be left out of what's happening here. Alexa Gates, I wonder what it was. If there's any replays or it's just the track limits.
It is track limits. Oh, and that is such a shame. So that is going to be applied as a time penalty, obviously, because this is the final lap. She can't serve a drive-through. So Enora Rose, even though she did not have the 10-second gap on track, saved by the bell, with Alexa Gates getting a drive-through penalty. And I'm actually wondering if that is going to be enough. I wonder if that's going to change the position between Alexa Gates and Denise Pope. So the drive-through has translated into a 30-second penalty, and Pope finished 30 seconds behind Enora Rose. So 23 seconds behind Alexa Gates. But Denise Pope also has a 5-second penalty as well, which... Yep, so that has now... Wow. The leaderboard has now updated. Denise Pope takes P2. Unless Alexa Gates has left the server. I can only imagine the potential profanity going on in the cockpit at seeing that drive-through penalty come up.
But Enora Rose, provisional race winner for both races.
Yeah, and we do stress provisional. No doubt the stewards still have plenty of incidences to review. So this is all provisional. But yeah, just flipping over to YouTube chat, and everyone commenting, what a surprising finish. So, wow, who saw that one coming? I am speechless, and that takes a lot.
We were joking how race 2 is pretty good, more spicy. They make those moves and make those risky adjustments. But from the beginning, race control told us they had double the amount of incidents from that same stage, and then all of a sudden these penalties being thrown at the last lap, the white flag lap of our race leaders from the previous race. Crazy, and it changes everything. 10 seconds
it does.
The race is huge.
Yeah, yep. Especially when the competition is that tight. 10 seconds could be 4 or 5 positions. It's really it can make or break. So yeah, it's something that these drivers need to be aware of. That penalties, they can make a really, really big difference. So yeah, need to try, and the aggressiveness is great. When love to see these drivers pushing, but then they've got to keep it clean. So certainly with the number of penalties then that we've had, and no doubt are going to continue to be coming in as race control wade through them. So, shall we have some interviews?
Let's do it. We have, I think, up first with Eris Affiliate. Let me drag Eris. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing for a post race? It was pretty spicy.
Yeah, just a little. The thing I spent most of that recording.
What was it like on track? I mean, there were so many passes, so many incidents, some collections. What were you thinking the entire time?
Please don't die. I don't even know what else I can say. It was a little bit of chaos and a little bit of, oh god, the car behind me is quicker, but are they quicker enough to actually make the pass?
Mm-hmm.
But then also getting stuck behind cars ahead that at the time were a little bit slower than us, and we're just like, oh god, how do we, like, I'm quicker than you, but I'm not quick enough to make a pass, so how do I do this? It was interesting and it was eventful, and yeah.
What are you looking forward to for next round? Did you vote Valencia or Watkins Glen?
Only the greatest track of all time, Watkins Glen.
Yes.
If you vote for anything other than Watkins Glen, I am personally judging you.
What are you looking forward for Watkins Glen? Why is it one of your favorite tracks?
Honestly, a finishing position like today would be nice. But we'll see. There's a lot to happen between here and now. I've got a 24-hour race this weekend, and then I've also got races on Wednesday, Thursday, 2 on Friday.
Wow.
So it's a busy week.
Absolutely busy. Well, glad you survived today. Congratulations, and thank you for the post-race interview. Good luck, Watkins Glen. We'll see you in the server, and hope to see some incredible pace in Watkins.
All right, thank you very much. See you later.
Thank you.
All right, bringing in April Cartwright.
April, hello.
Hi.
Hey, how are we feeling post-race?
I'm feeling quite good. Had a lot of fun. That was definitely been an eventful night.
Eventful is putting it very, very mildly. What was going through your head during the battles? We saw that you were pretty close for up and down the grid. What was going on through your head?
For race 2 specifically. Mostly I was just trying to make the most of my own position, just try to get as far ahead in the race as I could. Because I've missed enough races in this championship that I'm really just here for good individual races. So yeah, tried to have a good battle with everyone along the way who I could, do my best with that. And yeah, also just keep an eye on where Ruby was, because I know she's got a lot more to fight for here than I do.
Mm-hmm. How did you prepare for this race for Imola specifically?
For this one, I wish I'd done more practice. I unfortunately got sick during the 2 weeks that we were supposed to be practicing for this one, so I feel a bit behind on that one. Especially with 1.9 coming out, I think just getting time in and trying different lines, trying different setups and such, just getting to know the physics changes in 1.9 and taking the time and the patience to do that, I think that's the main thing to prepare for this race.
And what are you looking forward to in 2 weeks? Are you voting for Valencia or Watkins Glen?
Watkins Glen, definitely.
Woo. I'm not biased. I'm just wooing because, we love to do that. What about Watkins Glen are you looking forward to the most?
That bus stop chicane, I always find it really satisfying. Something about those curbs and just how usable they are, and feeling the car bounce on the suspension through them. Just so satisfying. Love it.
Awesome. April, thank you so much, and congratulations for today. It was very, very awesome to watch the close racing and the clean racing. Appreciate it. And we'll see you hopefully in Watkins Glen, depending how the poll goes.
Absolutely. See you then. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you.
Pulling in Denise.
she accidentally left me. Try that again. Denise.
Hello. Hello.
Hey, perfect. Sam, feel free to take it away. I know you had some questions for Denise.
Hey, Denise, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Sam, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. So how are you feeling post-race, especially with such an interesting race?
I'm kind of exhausted, to be honest. The whole, like, both races were some of the most intense I've had to drive in this series, just because I don't think I have the natural speed of some of the other people here. So to keep up with people and to try and stay ahead of people and to try and be within, like in the first race, 10 seconds of the person ahead, and then try and gain 5 seconds on the people behind in this race. And like, I know I don't have the natural speed to do that, but I saw how close everyone was behind, and I just thought something's going to happen there. And if I just try and keep going, that gap might happen. And on the last lap, I think, or the last 2 laps, I just saw it shoot up, and I'm just really happy with that. Like, yeah, unexpected result, podium. I'm really happy. I'm really happy.
So I know you and I race quite often together. I know you're a very experienced driver, and at this point in a championship, in the halfway, are you starting to look at overall championship points, or are you still just concentrating, just do the race and worry about the championship later?
With the classes that they are at the moment, I'm just doing it race by race. I'm trying not to think too much about anything, to be honest, and just enjoy the racing, enjoy the driving, and just see what happens. And so, like today, I would never have expected to get both results that I got today. So it just makes it better when you do get a good result like that. So, yeah, no, I'm not really thinking about the series as a whole, to be honest. It's just do each race, have fun, enjoy it, and just see what happens.
Perfect. And it's looking like Watkins Glen is edging out in the watcher vote.
Nice,
do you
nice.
enjoy Watkins?
I do. It's a fantastic track. To be honest, I would have been happy with either track because Valencia is really, really good as well. But I don't think it's as good for racing as Watkins Glen potentially is. So I think it's a good choice, and I'm looking forward to it if we end up there.
Excellent. Well, definitely look forward to seeing you there in 2 weeks' time. Still a couple of moments left for voting. But yeah, have a great practice over the next 2 weeks, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Thank you.
Different. Oh, hello.
And Nora.
How are you doing?
Hello. Well, pretty good. I wasn't expecting to win the second one, but I'll take it.
So, were you constantly looking at the gap, or were you just driving?
No, absolutely not. I usually what I do is that I disable entirely the standings, so I'm not tempted to look at them. I just put them back on the final stretch, on the final lap, and I saw she had a DT, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll take it. I wasn't expecting to win it. I looked like once or twice to see the gap, and I saw it wasn't shrinking at all, so I just resigned myself. Ah, well, that's P2, whatever. And on the final stretch, I see it, and no, it's not. Cool, I'll take it.
Yeah, it's interesting that you switch off then the standings. So you weren't aware of the gap not really moving, and when the drive-through came through. So do you think about the overall championship? I mean, obviously you're in quite a commanding lead of the championship at the minute, but do you have one eye on the championship, or you just take it one race at a time?
Well, right now I do, because I think I just need to win one race to get it, assuming I don't get off the podium because of the drop round. But other than that, no, I just don't look at it. Not until the end.
And do you have a preference for our next round out? Obviously, then the vote is between Valencia and Watkins Glen. Any preference?
Watkins, all the way, because at Watkins you can actually race. At Valencia is a bike track. Why does GTWC go there? It has no place going there. Stop it. This is silly. We have car tracks in Europe. Why are we doing this?
Love the animation, Honora. Absolutely fantastic. Well, it looks like your wish is going to come true.
Oh yes.
The voters have spoken, and it does look like Watkins Glen has just edged out Valencia. So we look forward to seeing you. We look forward to seeing you out in Watkins Glen in 2 weeks' time. Enjoy your practice, and we will definitely enjoy watching how you get on in 2 weeks' time. So thank you very much for joining us.
Yep. See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Wow.
Well, yeah,
that was eventful. That's the best way I could describe it.
Yeah, not really more that you can say to a race like that, aside from, wow, nail biting right to the end. Very interesting that Honora switches off the standings, so that she's not tempted to keep looking at the time. So she just concentrates on her own driving. Interesting tactic, and unexpected. But now that I'm thinking about it, I think that's actually really, really clever. So easy to get distracted.
Focus on the racing. Yeah. Exactly.
I think I'm going to steal that one.
And let me know how that goes, because I always want to know where other folks are. But yeah, I should just focus about myself during a race. So
yeah,
I appreciate that. I believe the voting is closing soon. It looks like Watkins Glen might be the winner here. It's at 54% to the 46%. That is correct. Watkins Glen wins out at 54% for round 4 on May 15th. For more female racers powered by Mercedes-AMG, this was round 3, but we look forward to seeing you in round 4. Again, my name is Ash Vandley. I was joined by Sam Pierce. Sam, thank you so much for being here and doing this with me. Otherwise,
I'd
just be talking to myself.
My pleasure, completely and utterly. Always good fun to commentate MFR. Never a dull moment.
Not at all. Thank you for everyone for joining us on the stream. We will see you again on May 15th as we race through Watkins Glen.